To lead in a world that never stops evolving, you need insights from those who are driving change. Welcome to Breakthrough Innovations, where we bring together the top leaders and innovators who are reshaping their industries. I'm JL Heather, the Principal Executive Coach at Center, and in each episode I sit down with game-changing executives who share the strategies, insights, and challenges that fuel their success. In the next 20 minutes, you'll gain practical takeaways to drive your own breakthroughs. So if you're ready to stay ahead, join us here on Breakthrough Innovations.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Breakthrough Innovation. With us today is Steven Fance. He's a distinguished leader and innovator in clean energy and technology. Steven is the CEO and CTO of Cultivate Hemp Solutions, where he is spearheading groundbreaking initiatives to decarbonize logistics through clean transportation fuel derived from hemp. Steven's career journey is nothing short of remarkable. He began building military airplanes for Lockheed Martin at just 20 years old, while pursuing a mathematics degree at Morehouse College on a prestigious J.P. Morgan Chase full scholarship. Since then, he's founded multiple ventures, including iCarriage, which is an AI-driven fleet management program, and Cultivate, where he led the creation of the world's first ASTM-tested hemp diesel product. I think he'll have to tell us more about that later in the podcast. With over 2 years of experience spanning aeronautics, AI, machine learning, Internet of Things, and clean energy, Steven's visionary leadership is driving innovation in sustainability and energy transformation. Today, we'll dive into his incredible journey, the challenges he's overcome, and the innovative solutions he's bringing to market. Steven, thanks again for being here. We are thrilled to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I guess I should also introduce JL as my co-host, and we'll both be kind of in the peanut gallery as you regale us with stories today. So first, your career began with building military airplanes for Lockheed Martin when you were only 20. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, and I'd love to hear how that experience helped shape your approach to innovation and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, absolutely. So I studied mathematics at Morehouse College here in Atlanta, Georgia. And while at Morehouse, I came across a program called En-ROADS that essentially matches you with large Fortune 500 companies in technology and business. So they connected me to Lockheed, did an interview with them, and started working in their Fort Worth office on their F-22 airplanes, and also writing kind of black boxes for those planes. And initially, soon after college, I started on a C-130J airplane in a Marietta office. And there I was a systems software architect. Built a platform that predicted when the airplanes needed repair and maintenance by consuming millions and millions of rows of old data. So that's what I did Lockheed.
So again, how did that shape your approach to innovation?
You know, working with probably I would say the biggest and probably most respected military defense company in the world, I was trained by the best. And there I was able to learn from some of the greatest engineers I've ever come across. They taught me a lot about leadership, managing teams, setting goals, and executing. And so that I've been able to translate with entrepreneurship with my companies today.
Well, and I know like Lockheed Martin, anything in the aerospace space, for lack of a better way to say it, like the quality controls, the testing, the validation that has to go on. How have you carried that forward, or is that something that is something you just kind of had to deal with? I'm curious, knowing a little bit about going through some of that myself. How has that played a role in your journey?
Yeah, so at Lockheed, they taught me about redundancy and putting systems in place to solve problems, and utilizing a hybrid approach is usually the best. And so I've used that philosophy even with our AI software and our fuel production, in that utilizing a hybrid approach, we're able to take the strengths of different technologies and be able to utilize them while reducing risk and lowering the opportunity of failure.
Yeah, I think that perspective on hybrid and on finding multiple solutions for the same problem, or multiple ways that you can be redundant, I think that's really interesting. It's not just one innovation. You have to have a couple different innovations to actually bring something to life.
Well, and then that concept of redundancy is almost like plan for recovery, right? Like, that's more of what I hear is like you just accept that certain things are going to fail at some point, and you need to have a backup, and you need to be flexible and adaptable when it happens.
Absolutely. It's really about preparation. I was
There you
Boy
go.
Scout, being prepared is key. And it's
Absolutely.
really asking, when will this fail, and having those systems in place. So,
Well, as a fellow Eagle Scout, I can totally relate to all that. I love the reference. That's great.
It's great. Okay, so let's shift a little bit further in time. So talk to us a bit about Cultivate, Hemp Solutions, and what that journey has been, and talk to us about the ASTM-tested hemp diesel product. That's a lot of just words and letters to me. So I'd love to learn a little bit more.
yeah, so when I started iCarriage, we essentially sent technicians to manage fleets by installing IoT devices, GPS tracking, data loggers, cameras. And so by meeting with these customers, large fleets that have multi-region vehicles, so what I learned is the biggest cost was fuel. And so everyone is dependent on that cost of fuel, where it's supplied, how it's delivered, all of these things. And it's such a huge and complex industry where, I was born and raised in Third Ward, Houston, Texas. And in Texas is the energy capital of the world. It's where most of in the U.S., over 50% of the refining capacity comes from Texas, Louisiana. And with that type of context, I came across hemp, that hemp has over 50,000 use cases around 2017. And what I learned is that hemp can be used to make fuel, clothing, plastics, and that's what we pursued. So we started making hemp utensils out of hemp plastic. We have a 3D printer, and so we 3D printed with hemp filament to make those utensils. And then after talking to customers, it came back to energy. And so with climate change, I was educated on how much our climate is affected by the energy we use, the products we consume on a daily basis. And so when I came across certain scientists and engineers like George Washington Carver, who worked with Henry Ford and made a hemp car. And to this day, Henry Ford had donated a museum to George Washington Carver for all of his contributions to hemp and other fuel products. And so with that context, I brought on a world-class team, the best of the best, from AI to hemp to PR, marketing. And from our backgrounds, we came up with a product, hemp diesel product. And so one of my partners, her family is very connected in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And so she connected us to a refinery out there, a family-owned refiner who was interested in all the things that hemp can do. So we worked with them. We produced a hemp oil that was able to be used with traditional oil and gas refining equipment. And then we had a couple trial errors. Of course, one of the big issues was making sure getting all the water and nitrogen contaminants out, toxics essentially, and to make sure that the fuel was ASTM. And so we worked with AmSpec Labs, that is the largest and most respected fuel lab in the country. They came out to the refinery and got a sample of the fuel and tested it in the labs over 13 tests of ASTM. And so we received our certificate of analysis confirming that. And that was in 2021. So now we have a portfolio of products, including sustainable aviation fuel, green renewable diesel, renewable gasoline, green hydrogen, as well as renewable electricity. And so now with iCarriage, we're able to bring AI-powered platform to freight brokers, fleet managers to utilize a clean fuel. So that's our journey.
I think it's such an interesting journey, like you personally going from aviation maintenance to having more a fleet program. And I can see that connection, like what you did on airplanes to fleets. And then it feels, it's connected, but it feels almost like 90-degree shift to be the fuel. Yeah, now diesel fuel.
Yeah. It was definitely, that's where I was able to lean back on my mathematics background, where I was trained on not only, of course, numbers, but also in biology and chemistry and physics. And so having to reach in my toolbox, I had to kind of unlearn some things also, that nature really has a solution for pretty much all of our problems. And it's really just exploring nature and integrating it with technology and essentially making them one. So that's what we've done.
Well, something I like, and Stephen, like, correct me if this isn't quite on point, but it sounded to me like you had in your head an idea, a vision for the impact you wanted to make. And you weren't really tied to any one solution. You were just looking for the right solution to make that impact. And it happened to be hemp. It happened to be in the fuel because that's what would work. And I think that if that's the right view, like, that's brilliant, right? Understand the impact you want to make and then go out there and just keep testing and keep trying until you find a way to make that impact.
Absolutely. In the game of chess, you ask the chess master, how do you play? You create the image of what you want the board to look like, and then you work backwards. And so with the problem of climate change is very complex of many systems, I looked at the vision of, okay, how can we have a system that, we live in a capitalist society, but with AI, we're able to reduce human labor so much that we've basically created a system to where we can produce clean fuel cheaper than fossil fuel and be able to produce building material in which that can be building for homes for everyone. And so it's a really a new way of integrating with what we currently have. And it's an evolution of the oil and gas business.
I love that. That's so cool. So I then have a couple questions then. So what advice would you give to other leaders? So people who are looking in that sustainable tech space, people who want to balance some of the profitability and the desired impact.
I would say for companies, especially leaders in those decision-making positions, you really have to go to the basics of your business. And what I looked at is that identified the largest companies in the U.S. The U.S. is the biggest consumer of energy, of a lot of products. And what I identified is that it's a trickle-down effect. If you identify and solve the problem for, let's say, the top 20 emitters and solve their problem, then we can trickle down with the solution. And with leadership in any business, I would say start with the basics of your business and integrate with AI from day one, and then start over. And then what you'll find is that a lot of processes can be automated. There's a lot of dead legacy code that many companies, in my background, acquire companies, and they have applications that are doing nothing but being risked, And so my approach is start back from the basics, from the ground up, and integrate AI, and you will find that the cost savings, the profits that you can receive from it, you can reinvest into your company, into your employees, train them on AI so that they are comfortable. And in the media right now, what's going on with AI is that there's a lot of disruption that's going on, or a lot of fear. But the thing is that people think AI is going to replace people. It's not. What's going to replace people is a person who is trained on AI. And that's what we're helping to bring.
I like that. The thing coming for your job is not AI. It's the person who knows how to use AI.
Right.
Absolutely.
I love that perspective.
Hey, Steven, before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you? Where can they learn more about your work and potential opportunities to collaborate?
Yes, you can reach us at cultivatehs.com, and it's cultivh.com. And you can also reach us on LinkedIn. We have monthly webinars. I know this recording is going to come later, but essentially we have a webinar in a couple days. But every month we are doing demos of our AI software and also educating customers. And that's how we create leads. But it's been working for us. But you can reach us on LinkedIn, Cultivate, Hemp Solutions, and then also X or Twitter, pretty much on most social media platforms.
That's great. So, Steven, thanks again for having such a great conversation. We're grateful that we've had a chance to hear you and hear some of your insights. It's been great today. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks to our listeners for joining us until the end. If today's website brought you some value, please consider leaving a rating, review, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you know anyone looking to dive into innovation and scale their impact, share this episode with them. Remember, take one actionable insight from today, apply it, and let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear your progress, and thanks again. See you next time on Breakthrough Innovation.